Welcome to the Fishing Magazine television series. You know, in any bass tournament, regardless if there are 300 contestants, it sometimes just boils down to two competitors. And that's what happened at the 1995 Dardanelle Pro Am bass tournament. Stay with us and watch this unique contest. We'll be right back.
Built for maximum V6 performance, word on Ranger's all-new Sport R80 is traveling fast. And it's no wonder. Factory rigged and loaded with standard equipment, the R80 delivers top-end power and a great bottom line. The Ranger Sport R80, proof that high performance, legendary quality, and a limited budget can quickly become fast friends.
Back with some Old Man River. Authors and songwriters have immortalized America's river systems in both song and verse. Mysterious, sometimes wild, exciting, and adventurous all come to mind when you think about that wandering band of water. I guess when it comes to a river, Mark Twain implanted a little bit of Huck Finn in all of us. Today, almost 300 Central Pro-Am anglers become explorers, Huck Finns, if you will, on Lake Dardanelle on the mighty Arkansas River. In Central Arkansas, they aren't here to wander down a lazy river, but in competition for over $70,000 in cash and prizes.
If you like to fish in pristine natural surroundings, Lake Dardanelle on the Arkansas River probably wouldn't be your first choice. In some areas of the lake, civilization intrudes noticeably. You're more likely to fish in the shadow of towering motel signs than towering pines. And some of the most productive areas are just a short cast away from bustling Interstate 40. But if you like shallow, dirty water bassin at its best, you'll love Dardanelle. Join us as 300 of Mid-America's best bass fishermen prepare for a challenge with a capital C and confront the ever-changing moods of Old Man River at the Dardanelle Pro Am. At Lake Dardanelle, heavy spring rains have raised the water level above normal, and anglers are having good success on a variety of lures in flooded vegetation and brush piles. Among the anglers to watch in this tournament is Central Pro-Am rookie Orlean Smith, who moved to the top of the Pro Division Angler of the Year standings with a 5th place finish at Beaver Lake. Keep an eye on former Redman All-American champion Doug Garrett, who won the inaugural Dardanelle Pro-Am in 1994 by weighing in over 33 pounds of bass in 2 days. Fishing right behind Garrett was runner-up Jackie Davis, who weighed in the tournament's big stringer of nearly 22 pounds on the second day. Not to be overlooked is Larry Herndon, who's tough anywhere there's shallow stained water, and a stable of local Arkansas anglers, headed by Jeff Keene, the only angler ever to qualify for a Central Pro-Am championship in only 3 tournaments. With the river high, the fishing should be excellent on spinnerbaits and jigs fished around logs and grass beds in shallow water. Guido bugs and plastic worms, rigged Texas style, are also likely to be effective in the same areas, while fishing channel drop-offs with wiggle warts and other deep-diving crankbaits could pay off big, as it did last year for Jackie Davis. But adapting to change is the key to winning at Dardanelle. After 2 hot, sunny practice days, the Pro-Am anglers prepare for the first day takeoff facing overcast skies and a possible cool front. Stay tuned to see how they fare during day 1 of the Dardanelle Pro-Am. Charlie Campbell takes advantage of an early position in the first flight and races to his shallow backwater area along Interstate 40. It's definitely a community hole, so he and partner Larry Crouch work it thoroughly before other anglers move in. Right now, Campbell has the area to himself, except for a father-son gallery who followed Campbell to watch the topwater master at work. Campbell's got one, and it's a keeper. Quickly, he gets another strike, but this fish slips away. Then Campbell hooks another good fish, but without warning, the bass breaks his line and escapes. Campbell knows that's no way to start a tournament. Defending champion Doug Garrett is off to a slow start. Like most of the contestants, he's working shallow grass beds and brush piles with spinnerbaits and jigs. But there's no shortage of grass beds on Dardanelle, and finding the grass with big fish will be the key to victory. Jeff Kelly fished the Dardanelle Pro-Am last year, but was disappointed in his showing on his home water. This year, he's fishing the entire circuit, and he's hoping to make his mark in this tournament. Randy Blockett, winner of the Beaver Lake Pro Am the month before, is out to make it 2 straight. As dark clouds roll in, Blockett and amateur partner Mike Beasley work shallow water grass beds. Finally, the rain comes and drenches the Pro Am anglers for most of the day. At the first day weigh-in, John Harris sets the early standard for the amateurs with 9.75 pounds, and Rodney Thomason takes the Pro Division lead with 10.85 pounds. But Thomason's lead doesn't last long. A few moments later, 27-year-old Jeff Kelly comes in with 1 awesome big fish and 4 other good bass.
Oh my goodness. Get the cameras ready. Get on up. 7.25 pounds. Jeff, get that fish out of the sack and hold on to it real good. Jeff Kelly, one of the promising young pros on our circuit. Get her up there, hold her up there, move $1,800 right there on the line. Get your cameras ready again. 19.10 pounds. Grabs one of those bass out of that sack. My goodness gracious, $12,000 on the line. Now we've got a standard. Think that'll hold on?
I don't know. There's a lot of good fishermen out here, a lot of good fish to be caught.
I guess there's a lot of good fish to be caught.
Just going to have to come back and do it again tomorrow.
You want to tell me what you caught them on?
I will tomorrow.
Then the storm breaks. The gentle morning rain suddenly turns mean. 40-mile-an-hour winds sweep across Dardanelle State Park. Anglers in the weigh-in line and dedicated fans persevere in spite of the wind and rain, while Central Pro-Am's clerical staff struggles to keep weigh-in slips dry and in order. But down by the boat ramp, 6-foot waves are pounding the breakwater, and safety is the main concern of the tournament operations team as they make sure all the tournament anglers are accounted for and their boats are out of the water. It's a weigh-in few will ever forget. At the end of a dramatic first day, Jeff Kelly leads the Pro Division by over 5 pounds with 19.1 pounds. Jerry Williams is in second place with 13.85 pounds, while Central Pro-Am veteran Larry Herndon, the only non-Arkansas angler in the top 5, is in fourth place. The rest of the top 10 is tightly bunched, with only a pound separating sixth place Jeff Esri from Matt Lee and Jerry Wood in 10th place. In the amateur division, Arkansas anglers are dominating as well. Ron Easley holds the lead with 11.4 pounds. He's joined in the top 5 by fellow Arkansas anglers Billy Joe Boley, John Harris, and Lance Pendergraft. As in the pro division, the rest of the top 10 is tightly packed with just over a pound separating 6th place from 10th. But hold the phone, folks. As day 2 begins, all bets are off. To prevent flooding upstream, the Corps of Engineers open the gates at Dardanelle during the night, and Pro-Am anglers find the lake 3 to 4 feet lower than on day 1. What seemed like a runaway for Jeff Kelly has suddenly turned into a shootout. It's time now for this week's Tech Tip, brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time.
Hi, I'm Norm Ruff with the Sport Boat USA Ranger Mariner Service Team. Today I'd like to talk about jack plates. Now, a jack plate can add performance and handling to your boat, but there are some things to consider. Number 1, make sure that the boat manufacturer recommends a jack plate on your particular model boat. Number 2, make sure a jack plate is easy adjusted up or down. And number 3, make sure the jack plate adds proper support to the outboard clamp brackets. When installing a jack plate, it's a good idea to install a water pressure gauge. Now, the water pressure gauge will give you early detection just in case you set your engine too high on the jack plate. Water pressure gauge is cheap insurance against a major repair bill.
Unlike many Pro-Am contestants, Larry Herndon shunned grass beds on day 1. With large areas of grass beds now out of the water, momentum has dramatically swung in Herndon's direction.
I established a pattern on Thursday. I didn't think the grass was going to work. I don't have good experience with grass fishing, so I looked for some main river channel slough-type banks that had stumps out in the center of them. when the water was being brought down, I knew the fish were coming out of the grass and they was going to go to the stumps and lay down. Basically, I stayed in one area both days, throwing small Bagley crankbaits, honeybees, bitty bees. Finally got up throwing the big 3-inch bees some, but a lot of fish come on the small stuff. I threw mainly one color, is about all I throw. I mean, I've got a bajillion of them, but chartreuse, blackback's all I usually throw.
Jeff Kelly, on the other hand, must rethink his entire game plan. The conditions that produced his first day catch no longer exist.
What I'd plan to do with the water up a little bit was to go catch a limit early, fishing grass beds, throwing a spinnerbait and flipping, and try to catch 9-10 pounds that way and spend whatever time I had left throwing a crankbait looking for a big bite. I got to the lake this morning, launched the boat, immediately checked the water level, and kind of went into shock when I noticed how far it had dropped. I knew then that my easier weed bed fish were going to be tougher to catch on the lower end. And so I went farther up the river to where the current had the water backed up.
Larry Herndon gets rolling early. He hauls in one good keeper and then another. Everything is going Herndon's way, and even a good one that gets away doesn't upset him for long. And when he lands this good fish, he's certain he can overtake Kelly. As Kelly works deeper water grass beds upriver, he fights the gnawing pressure. He knows he has to have a limit to hold on to his day one lead. He goes about his work with quiet, determined diligence.
I was throwing the spinnerbait in the grass beds. I knew the fish would pull out to the edge of them with the water coming off of them. I was pitching the spinnerbait, just pulling it over the little points of the grass, and then also was flipping against it. Imitates a shad a lot, which is the bait fish they feed on in the grass beds, and just flip it into the little holes in the matted grass. Just trying to flip as many times into each little point of matted grass that I could.
In his Clearwater slough, Herndon stays on the attack. He has nothing to lose, and he knows it. The 43-year-old Herndon, who first made his mark in U.S. bass tournaments in the 1980s, has seen it all. And he's, well, content to be himself.
Well, I'm glad I got that sunscreen.
Yeah. I may have to follow some here for sure.
You got a need some sunscreen? Instead of having more clothes on, less clothes is better. Them old maggots, I get wet in them. I can't take that. Did you get wet in yours? Really?
As the morning wears on, Kelly keeps scratching for a limit, but all his fish are small. Meanwhile, Herndon is already culling and keeps plugging for bigger fish, even though he's beginning to have a lot of company in his spot.
They didn't really bother me because I figured that everything needs fish. I already fished it 20 times and just beat it to death. That's all I could do with it. I like this pond. A lot of guys squall about it, but that's why I like it, because they squall.
When they return for the weigh-in, Kelly is greeted by his father and other members of his family, but he knows he'll be lucky if his lead holds up. In the amateur division, Kevin Bowling is one of the first to weigh in and takes the lead with a two-day total of 13.95 pounds. His lead looks good until David Kleins comes in with this big fish and 4 others. Klein's total of 14.15 pounds looks like a winner until Lance Pendergraft steps to the scales with a limit of his own.
Got 5 today? What'd you have yesterday?
9 pounds. I had 5 yesterday.
Uh-oh, watch out. Need a little over 5 pounds to take the lead. We got a 6, that's the first number. 0.75 pounds. That's your wife. Really? I see. Well, did you do something good?
Well, she told me, she said, you either win some money this time or this is it. I hope this means I can go to grand now.
In the pro division, Larry Herndon weighs in early, and his 5-fish limit is as good as he'd hoped for.
A good sack of fish. And a good job here for Larry Herndon. Here we go. 13.40 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, 26.10 pounds. That's your leader right now in the pro division, Larry Herndon.
Now, Herndon must withstand the assault of the capable Arkansas anglers coming to the scales. Jerry Williams was in second place at the end of day 1, but today he has only a limit of small fish and cannot overtake Herndon. Jimmy Witt in third place after the first day has only 4 fish, and he too falls short. But out of nowhere, Scotty Birch comes in with the heaviest catch of the second day and an ironic story of what might have been.
Looky here, he's got the limit. Look here, 17.05 pounds. Oh, buddy, what did we either have or stumble into?
It really is upsetting. I don't know if many people know, but yesterday they had a kids fishing contest here in one of the strip pits. and I come around the corner running in there and they had a fence across it. And that's where I caught my fish today after they opened it back up.
You're kidding me.
Oh, no, you asked my partner. I couldn't go in there yesterday, went in today and caught good fish out there. It just made me sick. It really
It's making me sick right now, and I didn't even get to do it.
Finally, Jeff Kelly steps to the scales, and the partisan crowd of hometown Russellville fans comes to attention.
All eyes, center court. He's got a limit. 7.45 pounds. Where did the big fish go?
I don't know. I just caught the big fish deep yesterday. Just couldn't get any bites doing it today. It kind of muddied up.
Who's that guy in the striped shirt right there?
That was me, my dad.
He's standing there going, $12,000, bodacious bragging rights, plus big bass money, all of it. You ready for this? 26.55 pounds, a new leader in the Pro Division, Jeff Kelly!
For the third straight tournament, the Pro Division title is decided by less than a pound, and this is the closest one yet. Jeff Kelly narrowly outdistances Larry Herndon, who finishes second for the second tournament in a row. Arkansas anglers Eric Carr, Scotty Birch, and Jerry Williams complete a near sweep by contestants from the land of opportunity. Gene Davis and 3 other Arkansas anglers dominate the rest of the top 10 as well. In the amateur division, Lance Pendergraft edges runner-up David Kleins by just over 1.5 pounds, while Kevin Bowling, Bill Gibson, and Sean Gordon round out the top 5. Most of the other top finishers are Arkansas fishermen, as Missourian Dennis Cole, who finishes 8th, is the only out-of-state angler to crack the rest of the top 10. It's now time for Tips from the Top, techniques you can use to catch more fish. Brought to you by Quantum, the choice of serious fishermen.
Most of all, I want to thank the Lord. That's the first thing I said when I caught the big fish yesterday. You don't get those kind of bites very often. I'd like to thank Central Pro Am and all the sponsors. It's a great tournament for the guys that for local guys that just fished this one tournament. And I'd recommend you jump in there and fish them all. It's a lot of good fishermen. You learn a lot. It's the finest tournament circuit that I've ever seen. I'd like to thank my family for showing up. You don't know how hard it was for them to get here. My dad was in Memphis, found out we were leading. I was leading, drove all the way over just to watch the weigh-in, and I really appreciate my brothers here, my friends that are here for the weigh-in. I want to thank them for being out here. One in particular I want to thank that for fishing. To me, is the finest fisherman on the lake. Has taught me more about this lake than anyone. James Richardson. I felt coming into the tournament, I wanted to try to catch about 10 pounds a day. Thought if I got lucky and got a big bite, I could do better. Worked yesterday. Had a limit pretty early. Went through a crankbait on some drops and got the 2 big bites.
The place is actually an offshore area. It's a drop onto the creek channel itself. It's lined with stumps. It's kind of in the bend of the bayou, and just throwing a crankbait off the edge, trying to parallel it with the crankbait and bump as many stumps as I could.
James and I fished a buddy tournament last weekend. Happened to win it. He caught a 7-7 on the same drop where the big fish came from yesterday. So I knew if I got a good solid limit, I might get the big bite there. Just one of those things. You can fish it all day, and if they don't move up there, you don't catch them. So I knew I wanted a good solid limit before I went there.
I really thought I'd done a good job of getting myself ready for this year's tournament trail. I even bought a $200 rain suit, but the conditions we faced at Dardanelle were too tough for that rain suit. Maybe next year I'll buy a $400 one. Maybe that'll keep me twice as dry.
It's now time for On the Water, timely tidbits to improve your fishing.
Hi, I'm Larry Herndon with Fishing Magazine. The shad is the #1 food for bass.
and nothing imitates a shad quite like a crankbait. Whether you fish it in the spring or winter, summer or fall, and you change the color, shape, or size to meet the conditions, the crankbait is the workhorse in my tackle box.
Hope you enjoyed this trip into Central Pro Am's past. Sometimes the best things are worth repeating. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Fishing Magazine.